Hello everybody, it's D1 here in today's video. This video today we're going to talk about Star Wars games that we would like to see, that we'd actually like to see, or Star Wars games that we're actually wanting. I do have a couple of preferences and ones I'd like to see, but I found a deal earlier of Star Wars games that people are wanting and people that would like to see. So I'm going to read some of those and see what you guys think, and I'll probably add a few things that I'd like to see to this video. To what you guys all think. For the first one is going to be Star Wars Bounty Hunter 2. Now, if y'all remember the very first Bounty Hunter game where you played as Jango Fett when you had played that back when you had the PS2, or maybe some of you had it for the GameCube. Fortunately, I didn't have it for the Xbox, which I wish they did. But I remember playing it for the PS2, which was a console I actually had. I think one of the cool things about Bounty Hunter was the fact you put it as Jango Fett, and it was pretty neat for like a third-person shooter game. But the way it was played, there were some pretty difficult levels and things for that game. But after when they made it, I kind of wanted to hope for them to make a sequel or maybe make a spin-off. Say, since you made one with Jango Fett, since you made, that type of Boba Fett, I wanted to see them make a sequel of one with Boba Fett, his son Boba Fett. And that would be kind of interesting to do some stuff in the Bounty Hunter, in the Empire days and something like that. And then another one I like to see them do now, since you got a Star Wars Bounty Hunter, since you have both a Jango and Boba Fett kind of like game, another one I like to see. I like to see them do something with Din Djarin's Mandalorian. I like to see a Mandalorian kind of like third-person shooter game get made. I think those three should actually be a thing for Star Wars games, and those three will be your third-person shooter games. Because Bounty Hunter, the first Bounty Hunter game could definitely get either a probably unrealistic engine remastered kind of addition to that, and then you can have like your Battlefront. Then you're gonna have your Battlefront, your Bounty Hunter 2 sequel with Boba Fett, and then your Mandalorian with Din Djarin's character. I think that would be really cool for third-person shooter games. But I'm gonna read a little bit of the description of Bounty Hunter 2. Sorry, guys. Attack of the Clones was a very weak film, but it did give us Star Wars Bounty Hunter, the spin-off game, is set a decade before the film and features Jango Fett. Traveling the galaxy in search of bounties to hunt, we almost got a spiritual successor in the form of Star Wars 1313, which I really wish they would have continued that. So I thrown it on the shelf, which was set to follow Boba Fett on Coruscant. But now is the perfect time to revisit this idea. Not only is Boba Fett back on the scene, but there's also a new bounty hunter in form of the Mandalorian TV show's Din Djarin. Rather, Bounty Hunter 2 would be a tie-in to a TV show exploring what Boba was doing after the Clone Wars, or something else entirely. It's definitely top of my wish list. I'd even like it if it was kind of a crossover, or Bounty Hunter 2 can even be, they don't have to be like separate, like, spin-off third-person games. You can definitely do something with the sequel where, you can play as a story. You get like these 3 different types of story campaigns where you can play as, Jango's story campaign, you can play as Boba Fett's story campaign, or you can play as Din Djarin's story campaign. I think it'd be kind of neat to play, as 3 different story campaigns as those bounty hunter characters. Definitely would be pretty interesting for, a third-person shooter game. And I actually wouldn't mind having, a Star Wars game that had, 3 different types of campaigns that had, that explored those different types of characters. And I think that'd be kind of neat. So, next one, moving on, is Emperor at War Remake. Interesting. I actually played the first one on a P. Of course, it was played for like the PC and stuff now. I think what's interesting about Empire at War it was an MMO, one of those strategy or RPG games. I kind of liked how everything was moved and you had the option between you can choose the Empire or the Rebel Alliance. And you basically pretty much just try to take over planets. And if you played as the Empire, you were to take over and go through all these Rebel bases to find missing Jedi. Now, you did have a few hero characters and villains to play in the game, depending on your situation. Like here's like Darth Vader, you had Boba Fett, you had Empire, you had the Emperor Lord Sidious, and then a few Imperial officer like characters. I can't remember who they were, but like I think what's interesting about that is it was very unit kind of like concept because everything moved around like a unit, and you had to place things and what type of strategy you're going to use to take out this rebel base and all that type of thing. I think a remake would be pretty nice, especially for Unreal Engine with the new consoles and stuff. Emperor at War though kind of reminds me of those Red Alert games, which I'm pretty sure they had those for like a lot of other consoles at the time, but I can't remember if they did or not. If they had it for the Xbox 360 at the time, I can't remember. But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing an actual remake of that. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order 2, which is happening, which is called Jedi Survivor. And I heard in that game you're going to be playing more of a serious kind of Cal Kestis character, which I'm actually looking forward to seeing how that turns out. Republic Commando reboot. I don't know about a reboot. I probably wouldn't mind, like a remastered, and see if they can't try and maybe eventually give us the sequel that we could have had, which was Imperial Commandos. That would be actually pretty nice. I'm not sure if I really want something like that. A Grand Admiral Thrawn strategy game, that'd be kind of interesting. That'd actually be really interesting. Hold on a second, guys. Star Wars Force Unleashed 3. That I would not mind, but I don't know if they're ever going to actually bother with that. I actually would not mind a Force Unleashed 3. Because Star Wars Force Unleashed 3, Force Unleashed, both 1 and 2 games, those are actually really cool Star Wars games for that 360. Especially all the holocrons, not just that, but like, I remember in the game, one of the biggest objectives in the game I would do was go and find different colored lightsaber crystals for the your different colored lightsaber and stuff. That's one of the big things I would actually always do in Star Wars, the Force Unleashed games. One of the things though that I wouldn't mind doing though, I wouldn't mind if they did like a remastered version of both the first, second game, and then probably give us more of and then for like our third game, actually give us the sequel to those two, and carry on the story from there of what Starkiller is doing now. I think it'd be really interesting as far as like thing about Star Wars Force Unleashed that was really interesting though. It was kind of like your God of War, kind of like games, but in like Star Wars platform. I think that was a cool thing about, because some of these Star Wars games that we've had over the years did have a really good, different, kind of familiar like things. Like Star Wars Commando was kind of like Halo. Your Star Wars Battlefront games were kind of like your mix between Call of Duty and Battlefield. Star Wars Dark Forces, and that's another one I can see a remake on an Unreal Engine. And I've actually seen, somebody actually make an Unreal Engine of Star Wars Dark Forces, and really good Unreal Engine. Now I think it's a mod, so to speak, but I actually would like to see an actual a remake of Dark Forces, which was pretty much your Doom games, but in a Star Wars platform, which also was a first-person, shooter Star Wars game. That I would like to see actually, and I kind of wonder because they've been saying there's supposed to be a brand new, first-person shooter Star Wars game. Same with still is still might actually happen is Star Wars Battlefront 3. Now, there is actually a Star Wars game that's supposed to be made by Ubisoft, which is supposed to be an open world type Star Wars game that a lot of people are kind of wondering about, because if Ubisoft is making this, there's a lot of people saying there's not too many Star Wars games right now that's coming on the horizon other than Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I mean, yeah, there's a couple other ones, but I don't know how well those are going to be, because you also have Star Wars Apocalypse and that Star Wars Hunters game, which I haven't really heard too many topics on that, but I've heard a lot with Jedi Survivor especially. Yeah, I don't know. But for Battlefront 3, if they ever decide to do one thing I do want them to do is like do better than what the first two games they've done, because like certain things in both games, to me, it felt like they cherry picked a lot, and not just that, but just stopped supporting a lot of things. Both multiplayer of both the first games both had issues. They weren't very good, and certain maps like Mustafar and those types of things we never got. And Galactic Conquest, that's something that a lot of people really enjoyed from the older games, and which is probably why a lot of people go back and play the older games like myself. But But I think if they do Battlefront 3, I just hope they don't get lazy on when they add characters to the game, because there's a lot of characters that should have been in the second game and did not make it. Because, like, we were supposed to have Ahsoka Tano, we were supposed to have Azaz Ventress, we were supposed to have Jango Fett, we were supposed to have Mace Windu. I think there was supposed to be one concept of Qui-Gon Jinn being in the game, and then I think for the last one, I think was either going to be, I think one of the I think it was going to be one of the Inquisitors. I think was going to be like one of the other ones to go with all that, but never came to be. So, like, there's obviously a lot of characters that we really could see in this game, and two, certain Star Wars characters that they've been pulling from, like, books, I was told, are trying to put some of them in the Star Wars Battlefront games as well. So I guess we'll see. But if they ever do a Battlefront 3 game, hopefully it's better, and that EA does better than what they was doing with the first two. Because, like, there's a lot of near misses that they've done with both games that a lot of people just, like, don't really care about. We'll see what they do in the near future with Star Wars games. I think that's about it. All I got for you guys today, guys. Post in the comment section below and tell me what kind of Star Wars games you guys are looking forward to. What would you guys like to see? What type of Star Wars game? First person, third person, strategy, some type of RPG, open world. Comment section below on what you guys like to see as far as Star Wars goes. And I guess I will see you on the next video. And goodbye.